But that's how I sync them up.
All right.
Instead of trying to match voice to voice, that's the easiest way for me to do it.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So how you been?
I've been alright. Just getting through senior year.
Yeah, we got 5 days left? Or something like that? 5 or 6 days?
Yeah, because we have 4-day weekend. So
That's true. My mom was almost not going to allow me to do senior skip day.
really, why?
Because I had an 86 in the class, and she was like, you got to get an A in that class, otherwise you're not skipping. I came back today. I said, Miss Coppin, how's my grade looking? She goes, oh, no, you'll be good. In the middle of dinner, started reaching up in the sky, got an A in the class. I'm about to skip Tuesday.
Yeah. I don't even think I haven't checked my grades since probably the end of the since the fourth marking period.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't been in power school since, but I think I still have an A in both of them. But I don't think I've touched any computer science work since last week. Do
you still have a good grade, or you just don't know?
I think I still have an A.
Oh, that's good.
I'm pretty sure. I haven't got a notification that it's changed. So
yeah. Well, this past week was the Steam Expo. That was pretty cool. We got to see a bunch of films and stuff like that. I got to do a little stand. And then I got a bunch of sports interviews, which I'm going to play in just here in a few seconds. What, you stopped in for a few minutes to see a bunch of films and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I watched AJ and Reed's film, which was awesome. And then I also actually had a poster in there.
Really?
For an app I made in computer science, yeah.
Oh, that's actually cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't even see it. I didn't know where they were, but I know I made one.
Yeah, it was actually a really cool event. I didn't expect it to be that big.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Just seeing everyone's work, all the art in it, it's really cool. I didn't know there were that many talented people at Greencastle.
Yeah, I didn't know that. There was a lot of pictures I liked and all this other type of stuff too. But yeah, I'll cut to the interviews. Oh my gosh, I mean, they were interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So going off of one of those interviews, you want to hear the worst one?
Sure.
Steph Curry is not a top 25 player.
In the league right now.
Of all time.
Of all time. Who said that?
Javion
Really?
Galloway. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it.
What was his argument?
His argument was that he was being carried in everything he does.
Really?
Assists and everything, and then he just comes in, just makes a couple of threes, and that's it. All of his success because of his teams and everything.
No, because he's one of the best shooters of all time.
Exactly. And that's what I tried to say to him. I don't think I got it on recording, but that was it. But yeah, all those interviews were really fun. So, do you keep up with a bunch of basketball?
Not as much as other sports. I mean, I know what's going on with the playoffs right now and everything.
Yeah, so there's the Timberwolves, the Pacers, and then there's the Thunder, and then the Knicks.
Yep.
Out of those four, just off the top of your head, probably not knowing a huge amount of detail, do you have a favorite to win?
Without knowing much, I'd say probably the Thunder.
Okay.
Just because I know they're hot right now. They got a good cast.
They do. They have a very, very young team. Yeah. So what people were saying was if they win this year, then it's going to set up the future for a dynasty if they can keep winning and winning and winning.
And that's and I like those chances. I like young teams, but also experienced teams. I mean, I'm not sure which teams have an older roster on them right now.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
No, I think the Thunder is set for a lot of years to come now because they also have a bunch of trades and really early draft picks that they got this past couple weeks. I think was the NBA draft. Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I'm rooting for the Timberwolves. Okay. One, because I'm a Warriors fan, so they knocked out my team, so I want to see us get knocked out by the champs. Yeah. Also, too, I like Anthony Edwards.
I got you.
I actually think he's a really good player.
I know my roommate that I'm gonna go to Pitt with. He's from New York, so he's a Knicks fan. So I'm kind of by default rooting for the Knicks.
Has he been partying in New York City, or is he
he's upstate? Been going? No, yeah, because he's 30 minutes outside of the city, so he goes to watch parties in the city.
Oh my!
He showed me a video of it one time, and there was so many people in this building.
Did he go into the streets and just cheer and everything?
Yeah.
Or was he okay?
Yeah, because he was there the actual game day and everything, and
that's nuts, dude. I can't believe that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, because I think this is halftime right now, but I think we're watching game one of the Timberwolves and OKC. Yeah, it's actually a pretty close game, I think.
Yeah,
I'm watching a Fantastic Four trailer right now.
Yeah.
The movie looks kind of cool. Yeah. But the main reason why I wanted to talk to you is I have it's 48-44. The start of the third quarter. I have a basic understanding of NIL and how that money comes through, and I think you did a project on it for one of your classes, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what did you have to do? You had to do a speech on it?
So yeah, basically, it was for AP Lang. It was our final presentation, and I had to present a argument over any topic of my choosing. I chose an argument of NIL, whether or not college athletes should continue to be paid, and I said that they should.
Okay.
But also, there's kind of like a caveat to that because I think they should change the guidelines and the limitations for it as well.
That's what I was looking at. I understood that they were getting paid for, I think it was 2022 or 2023, or was it like when they started getting paid? And I agree with it. I think if you got enough talent and you can make a name for yourself, that you should be getting paid.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing the numbers that a 19-year-old can make.
Yeah. And I think it's just going back to like why I think they should get paid. You know, they earn these schools a lot of money, like a lot of money. So like I don't know if you've heard of this thing. It's called the Fleet Effect.
No.
And it was named after this quarterback called Doug Flutie. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He was a quarterback of Boston College. Okay, way back when, and he became like famous because he upset the Miami Hurricanes in a game. Like game-winning touchdown pass and upset them. They're like one of the best teams in the country at the time. He got super famous, and just him alone, like after that game, application rates to Boston College went up over the next 2 years by like 33%.
Oh yeah, so they're just gonna drag in a bunch of tuition money.
Exactly, yeah, and you see that like a lot like nowadays when people want to go to like rah like schools, like Big Ten schools, SEC schools, because obviously education's important, but they want that like party scene too, and a lot of that's generated from football and basketball. Those are the main two NIL like sports, and that's where you see a lot of people like the schools with the more successful programs. They typically have like high like application rates because of like really big players. They generate a lot of money. They put it back into the teams, make everything more extravagant. But again, you don't get that kind of money if you don't have good players and you're not winning.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did see something where it was like a spike in applications for Colorado, obviously with Travis Hunter and then Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, UC Boulder is like blown up in applications this year. It's become so popular.
I know, and congrats to him. He went number 2 in the draft, and then Shedeur was 5th or 6th round, sadly. But
yeah. But
did you watch the draft?
Yes, I watched the whole first round, and then I was keeping up with everything the next few days.
I ended up watching the first round and then doing an episode or two on it, and then I kept looking for the ESPN alert, or I guess it was the sleeper alert that was trying to really keep up with it to see when Shedeur was going. Yeah. And it would be like second round, oh my gosh, he didn't go through. Third round, oh my gosh, he did not go through. And it was kind of funny to see because he was kind of not flaunting it, but he was kind of making a big deal out of, oh my gosh, I'm going to go first round. And then he had 2 projectors, had shelves full of all the hats at like different
secret
teams.
Room.
Yeah, and I was just like, dude, this might be why didn't you just go to the place if you thought you were gonna get number 1? I guess to be with his family, but it was a lot.
Well, no, he was at the place, but like he had his own room in the place.
Oh, I thought he was at home.
No, Texas. He was at his own place. Like he was at the place, but like he was in his own room.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Which makes it even more like disappointing.
Oh my god. Yeah, imagine you just have to walk out of that stadium just not getting drafted.
Yeah. It happened to Will Levis a few years ago.
That's true, but I mean...
But he was the first pick of the second round, so it wasn't as bad.
Yeah. It's not as bad as going fifth. What do you go, 6th round or 5th round?
I think 5th, I believe.
Yeah, it was like later 5th.
But did you see he just got signed to a 4-year deal with the Browns?
I did. I think I did. I don't know the dollar amount.
No, yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, 4-year deal. So
that's
I mean, they're not going to cut him at least.
They're gonna have the quarterback battle for that team.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
Flacco.
Right now it's really about who's going to get cut because they have 5 quarterbacks on their team
like
right now.
4 or 5. The main 2 are Flacco and him.
Yeah, because they.
But there was
Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson won't be there.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even think he's going to play this next coming season because of his just Achilles tear.
Yeah.
He'll be out for a little bit. This game's actually going really nice.
Yeah, 49-50. Chet Holmgren's on the ground.
I want to go to one of these games one of these days.
Oh, yeah?
I think it would be so cool to be standing in that arena for one of these playoff games.
Definitely, yeah.
Because I've been to an NBA game, but it was. I just imagine it just not being the same. The crowd being way more.
Because like I feel like games like MLB and NBA games, like regular season, there's so many of them. They're more casual events, you know.
Oh my gosh, dude, you're proving my point. My biggest take in the sports world is that the MLB should not be 162 games. One, because it's just too many to count, so you don't really have fans until playoffs. Right? It's not exciting by any means. And second, the players don't care. You could lose 10 games in a row or 11 games in a row, and then it kind of matter.
Yeah.
It's not like the NFL where like every single week matters.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, just this past year, the Vikings and the Lions were battling for the number one spot, and they had, 2 losses in the entire 16, 17 weeks that they played. That's insane. And they had the entire stadiums filled out, tickets being $300 for a nosebleed or something like that.
Yeah.
And these games don't matter. I can go to any MLB game on a random Tuesday, and it absolutely not matter.
Yeah, you can get them for like dirt cheap. Like, I know I've been looking at like prices for a Pirates game in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Since I'm gonna go to Pitt, obviously, and they're dirt cheap. Like, I could just go on a day where like Paul Skeens isn't pitching.
Exactly.
And like it won't hurt the pockets.
No, it'll probably be $100 for right on the first base line. Not even.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's insane. But what back to the NL thing? Because we kind of got sidetracked. What guidelines would you change? Like you were talking about, like obviously players should get changed, but you were talking about like certain guidelines should be changed so that it's not,
Yeah. So I think. Let me think about this for a sec. So I think they should limit obviously like the amount of money they can get in like per year, right?
Oh yeah.
And also I think they should eliminate promising money in the future, because what happens to a lot of athletes that end up transferring away from schools is they're promised money by like coaches in the future. They don't end up getting paid and they hit the transfer portal. Like that happened with UNLV's quarterback. Yeah. Halfway through the season, they were having a really good year last year, and he transferred to another school. I'm not sure which school, but he transferred because he, and his dad was actually his agent, and like his dad was basically told everyone that like he wasn't getting paid what he was promised. Yeah. So he transferred out, and that happens with like players all over the country now. It's not like an uncommon thing.
So you're saying there should be like a legitimate signed thing to say, hey, this is the money you could potentially be getting from us.
Yeah, and then also I think they should limit NIL collectives, which is basically like kind of like booster funding, pretty much. Like an NIL collective is like the collective amount of money they have to give to players. So we see that it's like very like skewed. Obviously, like the richer schools are gonna have way bigger NIL collectives than these smaller schools, and I mean they're just gonna end up getting the biggest players. Keep it going, and like now we see like even now with like power conferences, it's just only gonna get worse and worse, right? There's only like really at least in college football, that's like the main thing I like keep up with.
Oh, of course. So a Big Ten school or an SEC school is gonna obviously take any good player just because they got more money.
Exactly. Like even like the worst Big Ten school will have more money than a Conference USA team.
Exactly.
Like whoever, like you could win the MAC championship as a football team, and you still won't get the same recruits that you get from like that like Northwestern gets, and it's just because they're a Big Ten team. And Big Ten teams, they have deals with like other like networks. They just make more money because they're in that conference. Yeah. So it's just, I don't know, it's just a little like unfair, I guess, because then you get into the problem of like you have a really hard time getting recruited because only these small schools can like afford to pay you. Yeah. And like I don't really think it's going to turn into like a lack of a love for the game, but a lot of players like will just not play if they're not getting paid, and that kind of like takes away from the point.
That's what I remember seeing an interview for Coach Saban's last season, and they're basically talking about like why you kind of doing this. He goes, because I know I'm getting to the point in the game where there would be like a summer dinner where you would have all the teams, players, and parents come in, have a massive dinner. His wife would like just meet everybody's parents and say, hey, how you doing? And it wasn't the question of what are you going to teach my kid about like life lessons and then dedication and all these other different things that they do. It's how much is he going to get paid? Yeah. They kind of just want this little check. Some players do it for the love of the game. I 100% get that, and I see it in some of these players. But some of these guys are now doing it for, hey, where's my $100,000 check instantly? Yeah, and I haven't even done nothing anything on the field yet. The season hadn't even started.
Exactly, and a lot of times that like bites you in the butt. Like you see with Nico Yamaleava.
Yeah.
He was guaranteed starter for Tennessee this year, getting paid like a few million. He asked for $4 million, and he didn't get paid that, so he left the team. And now he's at UCLA, a way worse team, where there isn't as good quarterback development. He's not going to have. Well, he's still going to go to the NFL most likely, but like he doesn't have as good coaching for like the future of his career.
Yeah.
And he's not getting paid anywhere near $4 million. I think it's like $2 million.
Yeah.
Which is less than he was making last year at Tennessee. So like, I think like college football players are still like young, right? Like they're only a few years older than us.
I mean,
like
a freshman will be 18, 19 years old, and then what I think the oldest you could be if you like redshirt one of the years is 22.
Exactly.
23.
And like I don't think like it's responsible to trust like people this age with that much money, you know?
No, I agree with that. So I know that NIL stands from like teams playing it, but also brands have a portion of that money too. So just strictly based off my opinion, just based off on hearing some of these things, should there be like, obviously there's going to be like, I agree with you. I think there should be guidelines on how much a team can pay somebody. If you're a bigger school, okay, yeah, maybe you can pay a little bit more, but there should be like a set amount to say, hey, you cannot go over this. Otherwise, it's not fair. It's going to become a monopoly. Yeah. These teams are going to have all these different players. They're the greatest in their state, greatest in their county, and the smaller schools will stand a chance. Should there be a guideline, like let's say Nike wanted to go someone, or Under Armour wanted to go to, I don't know, Travis Hunter or New Balance, do you think they should have a limit? Or is that just like, okay, this is your skill, this is how much you put on the field, and then, okay, if a brand deal wants you, they'll give you $2 million.
Yeah, well, I think like with a major sports brand like that, they don't really care about like the school, you know?
Yeah.
Because like Adidas signed with Travis Hunter, and he goes to Colorado. Before, like, they would have never signed with like a Colorado. So like, I think that's like a pure skill thing, you know? And like, I think like that's fine because it's the same as any other professional like major athlete signing with a major brand, you know?
Yeah.
They've earned it through, they've become like the face of their sport.
Yeah.
So they've earned that, and that money doesn't really have to do with the team, you know? Because again, a lot of those teams have like separate brand deals with like Ohio State has a brand deal with Nike, but like Caleb Downs is signed with Next Trend, you know? So there's like there's not much of a conflict of interest with that, and so I think that's like more acceptable because that's not as much as like paying them to go to a school as it is paying them to just use their image, which is the whole point of it.
It's not a bribe. It's like put your money where your mouth is. If you're able to score a touchdown or two as a wide receiver every single game or every couple of games, then of course you're gonna get money for that.
Yeah. Now it's a little different when like there are companies that are obviously like favored towards a school. Like you see, like obviously Barstool didn't like sign Bryce Underwood, but Dave Portnoy, who owns Barstool, basically paid Bryce Underwood himself to sign to Michigan, you know?
Yeah.
And so, which was a lot of money. I'm not sure how much, but it was
a decent chunk
of money, like millions and millions of dollars. So I think that's like, I mean, I'm also an Ohio State fan, so I just like, don't like him, but I think that's a little like fishy, just because you know it's you're getting into like NIL collectives then, but just like kind of like a gray line of it.
It's also getting into a bribe. It's strictly what it is. Hey, if you go to this team, I'll pay you this amount of money. It's like you said. So I do, I agree with what you're saying. I do think there should be guidelines on how much a team could play, but if you're a good enough player and you want to sign with a different team, then do that. 100% do that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
I'm looking at this game right now, 60-58 with 6 minutes left in the third quarter.
Keeping it, very competitive game. See, I don't really watch a lot of regular season basketball because there's no like stakes in it. Like it's more like background stuff.
Yeah.
But like I could sit here and watch like playoffs, same like March Madness. I can watch March Madness all day.
Oh yeah. I don't think I ever watched one college basketball game except when I'm in a restaurant or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'll watch March Madness, so this will be interesting.
And it's just like funny how like playoffs of any sport like will like capture the attention of like everybody. Even if you're not like a big fan, everyone just kind of comes together to see who's the best.
Yeah. The thing was actually really cool about this NBA season was it was a lot more competitive. There were only, OKC had 14 losses, and then Cavs had 16 or 17 losses. But other than that, all the teams were kind of in a 5-game difference. Like, really? I'll take the Western Conference, for example. I talked about this with Ian and Jack months ago now. Before the playoffs were starting, there was probably 7 or 8 games left in the regular season, and the entire Western Conference from the 3rd seed to the 10th seed, which is where, actually no, it was like 11th seed or something like that, was literally a 5-win difference between the 3rd seed and the 11th seed in the Western Conference. So it was actually really interesting to watch that season play out for it was, because all these teams were going the hardest they could possibly play, because now it's this thing where, hey, I can go from the 3rd seed and have like a great spot, home court advantage, and I could go down, I could be eliminated.
Yeah.
I'm not safe if I'm the 3rd seed. And usually in the past years, it's been like, okay, if you're the 4th seed, you're good to go. You don't have anything to worry about. And a lot of these teams ended up in the play-in tournament. They ended up at a lower seed, just which they shouldn't. But other than that, other than OKC and the Cavs, and then there was another team. It might have been the Nuggets and somebody else. Those were the only teams that were really ahead, that were like winning games consistently. And this playoff series have been really interesting. Most of these series, from the first round to the second round to now, I guess the Western Conference Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals,
right?
Huh?
They've been like upsets, right?
There have been a lot of upsets, but most of these games have gone to Game 6 or Game 7.
Yeah.
And which
I think is pretty cool, because no one likes to see like sweeps happen.
No, of course not. Wolves and Warriors went to Game 7. Nuggets and the Thunder surprisingly went to Game 7. And I watched that series, and I think Jokic should get MVP after I saw what performance he was doing. He was doing 40 points a game. He was doing triple-doubles, quadruple-doubles, and it was just insane what he was doing. He was keeping them alive, even without a head coach. Do you hear about that?
What?
Their head coach, after being the 2nd seed and being the most winning coach in Nuggets history, fired.
Wow.
They don't I don't know if I ever found out the reason why. Maybe there was a new report that came out, but for a week after he got fired, there was no explanation why, because they were winning. So they went into the playoffs with some random guy. I couldn't picture for his life what the name of his, but I can picture in my mind. He's not even coaching the team. It's Jokic. He's literally on the bench, literally with the clipboard,
really
being like, "All right, we gotta do this, and he's just exhausted by Game 6. He's so tired of this. He doesn't want to do it. And the coach is like standing there. He's like, "Yeah, you could do that. Yeah." He's like, "No, we're gonna do it. Like, this is the best play that's gonna happen for us." And that was really interesting to watch. Cavs just swept, and they got. I mean, they lost. I can't remember when they lost. I think they lost to the Pacers. I can't believe how Boston just kept losing.
Yeah, and like they were up, and then they'd lose, and they
were up. They would be up, and then they would just sell. Jalen Brunson would just come back and destroy them. Unfortunately, Tatum did go out in Game 4, Game 3, Game 5, or somewhere between them. It was with Achilles tear.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he's back soon. I don't think so. He might come back midway through next season, but he's got enough. He's got another contract and enough money where he's fine. He can go without playing for a little bit.
And like obviously he has like the best like doctors in the world.
Oh yeah, so. And yeah, it was really interesting because without him, Boston really didn't do that well. I mean, they ended up just sucking. I'm gonna be honest with you. The Knicks just blew them out, and then now we'll have to see what they do against the Pacers. Pacers are actually a decent team. I thought they would have been a higher seed, but they really weren't.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what ended up happening, but somewhere through the middle of the season, they started to like really focus. They started really working together and actually did work.
Gotcha.
But I mean, yeah,
that is like a difference between the NBA and the NFL that I'll give them. Like the NBA, you can like have a bad start and still like
come back.
Yeah, I mean, in the NFL, you can still do that too, but it's way harder to like if you lose your first like 5 games, like you're basically like
you're planning for next year.
Yeah, your season's basically already over, and it's different in the NBA. You can lose like your first 10 games and
not you can still make a comeback or do whatever as long as you really focus as a team. But I mean, going back to the draft, all of to be in the episodes, all of the picks that I saw in the first round, I don't really know that much about. I know about college football. I got into it this past year, and that was mostly because of the video game.
Yeah.
But from what I saw, it was like, okay, that makes sense that he went there. That makes sense that he went 10th pick. That makes sense that he was number 9. That makes sense that he was number 18. Was there any like upsets that like really popped out to you, or was it really like, okay, everybody placed where it was? Because I remember the year prior, there was 8 or 9 quarterbacks like in the first 10 picks.
Yeah.
I didn't see much of that.
So like overall this year, I think like the teams did a pretty good job of drafting like a good fit for their team. I will say, however, I don't like what the Falcons did, where they drafted an edge rusher in like the top 10, I believe, and then towards the end of the first round, they traded up to the Rams' first round pick. And they traded a lot. They traded like their first round next year and like a few other picks for another edge rusher. Now, Atlanta needed edge rushers extremely badly. They were very like lacking. That was the worst part of their team. But I think they gave up too much on two. Well, obviously, like they didn't give up anything for their first pick. For their second pick for another edge rusher, I think they gave up too much, and it was on James Pierce Jr., who, at the beginning of the college football season, was a really high prospect. He was projected to be like a top 10 pick, but he just kind of slowly fell over time. And there's this thing called like draft fatigue, or like prospect fatigue, which is basically like you're a prospect for so long, you're such a high prospect for so long that people can only really start to see like flaws in your game, and like you kind of can only fall over time. And people say that's what happened to James Pierce Jr., but other people just say that like he doesn't really have the archetype because he's a little small for an edge rusher. He's not as like big, he's not as muscular, but he has really good like technique. Yeah. So I think they kind of took a gamble on that.
There was an Alabama player, I can't remember where he went. Like, this is how much easily I forget. So, but he was from Alabama. He was a bigger guy, and he was injured. He was injured for like halfway through the season, and he was supposed to be higher on the prospect, but because he got injured and he couldn't play the rest of his games, that he went down on the list because people were scared. Okay, he's still coming back from this injury, even though he's done great for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
He just got injured, and obviously, it is hard to come back from certain injuries.
Definitely, yeah. Well, the same thing happened with a Penn State safety. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was probably going to be the best. Like, he was going to be one of the best safeties in the country this year. But I believe he tore his ACL. Yeah. And he couldn't play the whole year. And I think he ended up getting drafted in the 2nd round, maybe. Okay. So still pretty high. Yeah. But nowhere near what he would have been drafted originally. He probably could have been a top 10 pick. And it's like really unfortunate how injuries do that. Yeah. And because, again, like you're an NFL team, draft players are an investment. So you're going to look at everything like that. Like Travion Henderson, Ohio State running back. I mean, I may be a little bit biased because I'm an Ohio State fan, but he still was one of the top drafted running backs. But I believe he could have been a top, like, obviously after Ashton Jeanty, because Ashton Jeanty is just different. But after Ashton Jeanty, he could have been the next drafted, but he really dealt with injuries his whole college football career. Yeah. Usually, I know this year he went the whole year without getting injured, but that's also because he split carries with Quinshon Judkins, so he had a lot less of the load. He was pretty good too. Yeah, he was really good. But the 2 years before that, he had injuries. He actually missed the Michigan game 2 years ago, which was heartbreaking to watch. Yeah. But yeah, and injuries are like a really unfortunate thing that college players have to deal with, and it definitely negatively affects their draft stock. But I think, I mean, you see it a lot in like players that get drafted late because of injuries, but they end up making, like they end up having good careers. Even like Peyton Wilson, like the Steelers draft pick last year, he was drafted in like the 4th round. I think so. But he was the best linebacker in the country, but everyone hesitated on him because of knee issues. He didn't have like a lot of cartilage in his knees. Yeah. And that, like you said, it's an investment, but it's also a gamble. If you're looking at a guy that's had an injury for that long and he's like, okay, he's kind of coming back from it, but he's not still 100%. It's going to be a gamble because he might get in week 1 and he goes down. Then, okay, that's a rookie contract out the drain, and now he needs all this attention for injuries, and then you have no idea when he's going to be back. Yeah, and that's I mean, with any sport, but I feel like football in particular, because football is such an injury-prone sport, like, everything is like a gamble. Like, even non-injury prone players tear ACLs, break bones, like you just see it all the time in football, and it's like it's just the game itself is just a big like gamble.
Yeah, no, 100%. Wow, actually OKC's up 66-62 with 3 minutes left. Okay, they made a little bit of a comeback. I just feel like they should be. I don't know. I feel like for only 14 losses in the regular season, you went to a game 7, and then now every single game you've played. I guess it is the playoffs, so it's a lot more competitive. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there should be a way bigger point difference for teams like this.
Yeah, but you have people like Anthony Edwards on the other team.
They do.
He's a special dude.
Rudy Gobert and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Julius Randle. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I think about Julius Randle.
Yeah, I mean I don't know a lot about the NBA, but I know Anthony Edwards. I know he's a rising star.
Oh yeah,
he's like basically already like the young face of the league. I'd say
1,000,000%. He took out LeBron.
Yeah,
that's all you gotta know. He took out LeBron and Luka, and it was a game 5 too. It wasn't like it was a close series. Mm-hmm. He took them out at home and away. It didn't matter what it was.
Yeah,
but looking at his future college football, and this is also because we're going into college, which is going to be fun. So we'll actually get to go to a few games. I'm actually really excited because before this year, like I said, I really wasn't a big college football fan. Mm-hmm. And then now that I saw what the pace they play at, how fast it is, and how like different it is from the NFL, I love it.
Oh yeah,
I just think the NFL is so much slower, and a lot of people will agree with that. But there's also like,
yeah, definitely. And I feel like another reason why like everything feels faster is because the stakes are so much higher in college football. You lose 2 games, and you have a chance of your season being over, which that's not how it works. Like teams in the NFL can still go like 12-5 and like have a chance of winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, you know, if you have that record in college football, like you have no chance.
Exactly.
And like I do appreciate the 14-team playoff for that, or the 12-team playoff.
Oh, I was gonna ask you about this.
Yeah. No, I think that was a good addition, but I think it was good and bad because there is a difference between like a playoff style with basketball, like March Madness, and like football, because I think there's a much bigger skill difference in like really good football teams versus average football teams. Mm-hmm. But like in basketball, that gap is like way closer. You know?
Yeah. Because oh my gosh, I was saying this with the first episode we did. God bless them. They want more money for the 14 team playoff, whatever the heck it was. Mm. Then this was the first year of them doing it, so I'll give them the benefit of doubt. I agree with you. You cannot pick standings in college football if you're going to do a 14 team playoff based off wins, because you had teams that would get absolutely blown out. Yeah. There was no upsets, and every single game in the first round of those playoffs was by more than a 20-point lead. Yep. And I looked at that, I'm saying, okay, well, why was that? This team went 13-1, 12-2. They went undefeated. Oh my gosh, they played a bunch of nobodies. Mm-hmm. And it was just because they went undefeated that they went up to the whole college playoff prospect, and they just get swept by a team that was playing like
an SEC or Big Ten.
Exactly. All these teams are just getting swept immediately because they really didn't play anybody of that big competition.
And I think moving forward, if they continue that format, they need to change it so that the teams that get a bye shouldn't be the best 4 conference championship winners. Mm-hmm. So, like, for example, this year it was what? It was Boise State,
Oregon,
the SEC, and the Big 12. It would be Arizona State, I believe.
Yep, Arizona State was one of them, and Texas. No, Texas was number 5. I can't remember who the 4th was. It might have been Georgia. It might have been Georgia. They lost too. They got blown out too.
Yeah, exactly. They lost to Notre Dame in the second round.
Exactly.
And it's just very interesting that like Boise State got, like, they would have they probably would have lost to any other team in that playoff.
Yeah.
So-
I think the big thing, and this is because I'm also a Penn State fan, Penn State versus SMU.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot SMU was.
Are we serious?
Yeah.
SMU was the 11th spot in college football because they went 13-1.
And like also like you see like with Penn State, what was their seed, like 5?
I think they were 5 or 6. They lost to Oregon, their conference champions, so they were just right outside of it. But I think they were 6th.
Like they were nowhere near the best team.
No.
But they had the easiest path.
Yeah.
You know, they had SMU.
They did SMU, and then they went
State,
through Boise State, and then they had.
And then they had Notre Dame.
They did. They had Notre Dame.
And then, but if they would have won that game, they would have been at the national championship just like that.
Yeah.
Their first 2 games were barely even like games.
Exactly. And I just couldn't believe it. I would have wished they would have had at least a better team in there, because it's not fair. I do agree that there should be a bigger playoff run. There shouldn't just be 4 teams, because then that gets really dicey. Maybe you okay, this team is definitely going to be number 1. This one's definitely number 2. I remember what was it 2 years ago where it was the Florida State and Alabama thing, who was supposed to get in. That gets really dicey because then
it was Florida State, Georgia, I believe.
Okay, it was okay.
Because Georgia missed the playoffs, and I don't think Florida State made it in either.
Well, it was the year when they only had 4 teams. I remember it being, oh no, it was Alabama. So Florida State was really upset that they didn't make it in because I saw all these videos online, and Alabama made it.
Yeah.
And I guess it was this was Saban's last year, to be fair, but you could really see the audience.
That was the year. It was Alabama, Michigan, Washington, and
what was the 14?
Texas,
yeah. And I remember looking at the video of Alabama. They were just clapping in silence because they were like, we probably shouldn't be here. And then the Florida State video of all the players reacting, their hands are up in the air, like, are you serious right now?
But then they ended up losing like 60-something to 3 against Georgia in a bowl game.
Exactly. So I do agree with you. I think they got to change. They have to look at schedules. They got to see who the teams played. If you played 5, like take Ohio State. If you played 6 or 7 Big Ten or SEC like games, okay, yeah, you deserve to be in it if you won 6 out of one of those.
Yeah.
But if you're SMU and went 13-1, oh, well, who's in your conference? A bunch of nobodies. I don't know if you deserve to be there.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah, but I think this season's going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm going to Pitt, and they started off last year really hot. They started off 5-0, I believe. Lost.
Then it might have been 7-0.
Was it 7-0?
It might have been 7-0, and then they lost all the rest of the games.
They lost, I think they lost 6 in a row after that, and then maybe won 1 more.
Yeah. I swear I saw people posting those stories. It was either 6-0 or 7-0.
I think it may have been 6-0 and then lost 5 games in a row and then won their last one or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they did finish it.
Because they still made a bowl game.
They did. Yeah.
But they ended up losing that in quadruple overtime or something. I remember watching that game. But I hope they're a little more competitive this year. I'm gonna try to go to the backyard brawl game against West Virginia. It's at West Virginia this year, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to.
Yeah.
But I would really love to. But I am happy that my senior year it'll be at Pitt.
Oh really? Oh, because they do alternate every single year.
Yeah, so I'm definitely excited about that.
Oh, that would be really cool. Do you know? I never ended up finding out. They just played better teams, or why did they lose 5 in a row after going 6?
So Eli Holstein, who's their quarterback, he got injured.
Okay.
He was a big part of their team. He was a really highly rated prospect, and
that makes sense.
Yeah, he was a really good player. He's gonna be back next season.
Okay.
But yeah, he got hurt, and yeah, I don't even know because they played Syracuse, who was a really good team. They blew Syracuse out.
Yeah.
That was a game Kyle McCord threw 3 pick sixes and 2 more regular interceptions.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of how football can be sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen in college football. It's way more just anything can happen rather than take, for example, the NFL. The NFL, it's okay, this team has absolutely no chance of beating this team. But, I mean, college football, it's up in the air for anybody. It just depends on how those 18, 19-year-old kids are going to play. And with a huge audience. Can you imagine as a freshman, let's say you were the best player in the country and you're actually going to start on your team. Can you imagine walking into one of those stadiums?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to think, like, even this, like, school year for us, like, this college football season, Ryan Williams, that kid is our age.
That kid is our age.
And he's a star for Alabama. Like, he's literally as old as us. I think you're older than him.
I think I am.
Yeah.
By, like, I think a month and a half or something like that.
And he's out there in shoulder pads for the Alabama Crimson Tide with a whole stadium cheering him on. Like,
I can't believe.
I can't even imagine that.
How did he get up at the age of 17?
He like reclassed, like moved one class forward. So technically, like he should be graduating with like our class, but he got to graduate a year early.
Lucky.
Yeah.
I guess I can see he just graduated way earlier, but I mean, I don't know. That's still really cool.
Yeah, he's a special guy. He's not Jeremiah Smith though. He's not Jeremiah Smith.
But yeah, this game looks really, really competitive. But I appreciate you coming on here and talking with us. I hope to have you on for a future one. I'm hoping to get a group of 4 in here for one of our last episodes. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or if it's going to be Thursday or something like that.
Okay.
But I really want to do that because it could be like a debate. I'll say a few questions, and then everybody just has a debate on what it is. And it could be, it's usually me, Ian, and Jack here. Obviously, they couldn't make it tonight because they were doing other sports activities.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them, but it could literally be like, okay, I'll make a debate for NBA. I'll make one for college football and then the NFL. I might do one. I'm thinking about golf, but I mean, it just depends on how much everybody knows, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be really cool. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.